answer the question, what can I do for you? You must understand, is this person asking me, show me my value so that I can offer you? Or this person is asking me, what is your value? Or you must also understand, is this person asking, are you wasting my time? And then you have to distinguish what you need to work on before meeting greatness. Perfect. Welcome to an evening full of mindset conversations and really redefining how we think, how we perceive ourselves, and even how we perceive the world. This is Walubengo, and I'm happy to be hosting all of you in this place. Now, for a very long period of time, I've been telling some of my followers that we're going to start a podcast. We're going to have very interesting conversations, and many people have been asking, so when are we starting this? And I'm happy to tell you that we are now ready. We've kicked off. You're going to receive a lot of content, longer videos, 50 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, deep conversations that are going to challenge you, conversations that are going to help you to see things differently. And I'm happy that today we are shooting our, let me not say first episode because there are a number of videos that we've shot, but let me say that episode that is going to redefine a few things. And I'm intentional, especially on this episode that we're going to shoot today. Even as we go live on TikTok, we'll also have this video later going live on YouTube. And today I want us to have a conversation about something I call questions. Questions. By questions, I mean the art of asking questions, the art of answering questions, and just redefining how we perceive value. Because for the last 1 month, I've taken time to also study and deeply understand what leads to successful conversations in business, successful conversations in government circles, successful conversations in terms of interpersonal relationships. And I wanted to understand what makes people highly successful. So conversations are not successful because you're speaking. Neither are conversations successful because you've opened your mouth. To some degree, there is something that controls how conversations will go and how you're perceived in terms of conversations. Let's call this session Key Transitional Questions. What do I mean when I say key transitional questions? Key transitional questions are questions that lead to questions, questions that lead to conversations, and questions that make people think or rather introspect. Remember, we're in a world that lacks depth. We're in a world where people don't take time to intentionally think, but also at the same time to intentionally introspect, especially when meeting people. Yesterday I was doing an interview for a lady who went to the UK. She's an African. And she told me that she lost a lot of opportunities when she went there. Sometimes she would go for interviews and there's a way in which she could not be able to clinch opportunities just because she did not know how to answer questions. I've also seen people who have either misused or abused opportunities because they did not know how to answer questions. Let's do a case study, 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 2. The Bible says, the prophet meets a woman who's a widow. Now this woman is in debt, the husband has died, and then the prophet asks this woman a question. Question number 1, what can I do for you? And then the prophet asks the question number 2, what is in your house? These two questions are questions that are either going to determine whether this conversation will go on or not. Let me know if you guys are alert. I'm seeing so many of you are here. Someone is laughing at Bethel. So the prophet asks two questions. Question number 1, what can I do for you? And then the prophet asks questions. Question number 2, what is in your house? So the first question is, what can I do for you? The second question is, what is in your house? Now, how this lady will answer this question will determine whether this conversation will go on or not. The question, what can I do for you? The person was not asking a straightforward question, a straight to the point question. What this person is trying to find out is that, what value do you think I have? And then, what value do you think I can offer you? And if this lady is able to answer this question in a way that is strategic enough, she's not only able to get an opportunity, but she's also able to build a relationship further, or I can say even benefit more. The question, what can I do for you? I've met people who have asked me that question. What can I do for you? Now, when you read in the book of Esther, there's a portion where it's written, and the king rewarded people according to the reward of a king. And it's actually written about in, I think, 3 places in the Bible, where the Bible says, and the king rewarded these men according to the ability of a king. That there's a way kings reward people. So when someone asks you the question, what can I do for you? It's not a question that you're supposed to answer, I want a car. It's a question that you're supposed to deeply introspect and really ask yourself, what value does this person have? And what value can they offer at this moment? And then the second question this lady is asked, what is in your house? Now, what is in your house does not mean your house, like literally. In this context, what is in your house means, what do you carry? What value is within you? Now, there's something called a question before a question. There are questions, if you're asked, you need to have worked on yourself before you answer certain questions. Today I had a conversation with one of my clients, and I was telling her, there are people you cannot network with at this stage in life. There are people who you will meet, they'll give you their contacts, they'll give you their business cards, but you have not built capacity for them to work with you yet. Or rather, you have not built capacity for you even to get their attention. And it's proper to distinguish spaces where you're supposed to learn from, spaces where you're supposed to trade, spaces where you're supposed to partner, and at the same time, spaces where you're supposed to serve. I've always said that as Benny, if today I get an opportunity as a driver of Donald Trump, it's a more powerful opportunity than being a member of parliament in Kenya. Simply because the experiences that the driver of Donald Trump gets is more powerful than an experience, or rather an opportunity, that a member of parliament gets, because we're in a life of experiences. We're in a life where it's about gaining different experiences, gaining different perspectives of life. And so to some degree, when someone asks you the question, what can I do for you? There is a level, or rather a degree, that you're supposed to have worked on yourself to be able to answer that question. There are people you cannot network with unless you've really worked on yourself to some degree. Today I sent our marketing teams to different companies, especially the automotive companies, to go and pitch a product. And when they came back, they told me it was really hard to pitch this idea. And they were telling me, I think Benny should show us how you do it. Because for me, I close sales so effortlessly. I network so effortlessly. And I was telling them, it's not really about networking. Joel, you can be a gym trainer, but still not get clients. It's not about being a gym trainer. Bethwell, you can be a graphics designer, but still not get clients. Henry, the business about hiking, what you do, it's not really sometimes about networking. Sometimes it's really more about you working on yourself to a level where it becomes easy to sell to the next person. For example, in the Bible, it was easy for David to persuade Saul because Saul had seen him before playing the harp. David was not unfamiliar to Saul. So these are some of the principles of networking, that there's something called the principle of endorsement. I'm sure David could not have gained access to the battlefield as a stranger. The fact that he was bringing food to the brothers, that's what gave him access to the military barracks. As a civilian, they would not have given him access. But number two, there's a way in which he had mastered the art of asking questions accurately. Today I did a video on the 5 skills that David had mastered: negotiation skills, key transitional questions, storytelling, persuasive power, and mastery. And you realize that all these skills are very key, whether you are here and you're in business. To some degree, lack of knowing one or two of these skills can cost you big time. Especially the wisdom of not understanding seasons and times when it comes to networking, or rather when it comes to answering questions. For example, someone can ask you, what can I do for you, in 3 ways. They can ask you, what can I do for you, to say that you're wasting my time. So they're trying to ask you, what do you want us to do? And the question, what can I do for you, in the second realm is, yes, you've come, but I want to understand why you've come to me. But then there's a third realm of that question in terms of value. What value do you think I can offer you? And also, what value do you have to give me? One question can be asked, meaning different things. For example, me telling you I love you, and me telling my girlfriend I love you, and me telling my wife I love you, I can be saying the same thing, but meaning different things. Who is understanding? Me telling my fans I love you, it's a general form of love. Me telling my daughter I love you, to some degree, means something different. And me telling my girlfriend I love you, at the same time, also means something different. I can be saying the same thing, but meaning different things in terms of perception. If you're understanding me, type the word understanding. I want us to know if we're together. Because I need us to get that wisdom to know how to answer questions. Because once you understand how to answer questions, once you understand human perception to some degree, it will take you so far. Thank you. Lovely. I'm seeing we are around 230 people. Keep tapping. Share as much as you can. There's many people. So back to the conversation. Failure to understand what someone is asking at a certain moment will cost you. You know, I remember I would go for networking meetings 3 years ago, and many people would give me business cards. And then they would tell me, give me a call on Monday. And I would try to call them Henry. And they will pick and tell me, I'll call you back. And they don't even remember to call me back. Then at a certain point, I got closer to great people. Sometimes I would be training a very great person, let's say a cabinet secretary. And this person is getting 62 phone calls. They are hanging up all the calls. In fact, the person has put their phone on do not disturb. Then their house help calls them and they pick up. I discovered people don't pick your calls. People pick how important you are or how much of a need you are. I've worked with politicians before. When a politician needs you, Henry, he will notice your call. But immediately the business is done, he'll call you 1 year later. Again when he needs you. He or she needs you. And so I came to understand there's something called the law of value. And the law of value is what permits you to begin accessing some people. For example, if the widow approached the prophet without having a jar of oil and flour, to some degree, the prophet could not have helped the widow. It was just as simple as that. If David could have approached Saul without knowing how to use a sling or how to fight, it was as simple as Saul could not have helped David. Today I was talking with one of my clients this evening. I was doing an assessment for her. She's a top lawyer, super smart at a young age. At 24, she's traveled, gone to the States, gaining access in an Ivy League university. I asked her, do you know how to play any game? She told me no. Do you do violin? No. Saxophone? No. Horse riding? No. Do you know how to play chess? No. Do you know how to play cards? No. I asked her, do you have any hobby? No. I told her, kings love little things. That when you stay around kings, Henry, they love little things. What are little things? What gave David access to the palace was not being a warrior. It was playing the harp. What gave Daniel access to the palace was not his smart ability in terms of philosophy only. It was his ability to interpret dreams. Kings love small things that are packaged in a unique way. One day I'll do for you a class on how favor works. The principle of gifting people. When you're gifting a great person, don't gift them an expensive gift per se. They love minute things. There is something called classic gifts. Gifts that are small but very powerful. I remember one day just gifted a great person a very small suit accessory. And the person was so happy. It ended up giving me access in different rooms. Tomorrow I'm meeting a powerful business person because I gifted a member of parliament 2 weeks ago a small suit accessory on her birthday. It ended up giving me access to a business person. The business person referred me to another person, and this guy said, I want to meet this young man so that this young man can teach me public speaking. Gifts are very key, Proverbs 19 verse 6. But away from that, what are the small skills that you've been able to build that can give you access? Because when I talk about value, value is not limited to your degree. It's not limited to you having money. Value sometimes can be the small virtues that you have. For example, today Henry was telling me that if he was not around me, I would be a very serious man. Value can you being funny. Value is about, like Joel, what is giving you access to me is that you're my gym trainer and how you cook so nicely. That's value. And those are things that great people like. You know, when we talk about things that great people like, sometimes we tend to think that they are big things, like nations. But sometimes they are very small things, minute things that make you really stand out. And if you've not worked on yourself to interpret what value means to you in terms of your destiny, you'll be frustrated. Because value is very personal. There is a general realm of value. Then there's something called the premium level of value. But then there's something called the customized level of value. In the last live, I taught you about something called HNI, high net worth individuals, and what high net worth individuals look for. When we were moving yesterday in Ridgeways, Kiambu Road, with Henry, we noticed businesses look different from other places. You could see a flower shop, well customized. And Henry told me, I've noticed in places where there are wealthy people, businesses don't look the same way like other places. You walk in a restaurant that has only 10 people, but they are selling food at 7,000 Kenya shillings. And the place is ever full, but with the right people. There are restaurants that are not built for everyone. They are customized. Where I stay, just at the gate, there is a horse riding academy. How much do they charge for 30 minutes? 1,500? Yes, for riding a horse. Right now, I've just seen there were so many white people in that place. Every time I go there, I find a white person. Because even as they were building the place, they were not building it for the general person. They knew the clientele they're building for. Whether it's restaurants, whether it is schools, there are schools I've gone to, some that are around here. You see that the school is well customized to fit a certain audience. That's something called customized value. Now, you cannot build customized value if you don't understand your identity. Because customized value means that you must be bold enough to go against the conventional patterns of thinking. Don't know how many people are understanding me. You know, this is a type of content I've been waiting to release for a very long period of time. I was telling Bethwell, I'm waiting for a day I'll have a podcast and talk to people for 2 hours, talk to people for 3 hours, have top tier conversations. But if you're understanding me, I would really appreciate. Let me know if you're understanding me so that I don't go so deep, so that I'm able to control the conversation. Thank you. Someone is saying I don't. Val, you'll have to. You don't have any other way. You just have to understand. Thank you. It's good to see all of you increasing. Keep sharing as much as you can. Let's keep talking. So I was saying that question where this lady was asked, how can I help you? There's that aspect of value. And you can have a generic form of value. You can have the premium level of value, but there's something called customized value. Now, Henry, last weekend, took a client for a hiking experience. The client was how old, Henry? 66?
Yes.
66 years old, a white guy with his wife. How much did they pay you? $100. Your normal hikes, how much do you charge per person?
2,000 to 5,000.
2,000 to 5,000. Let's say 2,000. So you for a normal hike, those are 5 people. But one couple paid $100, and they have now given you another assignment, right? That, can you imagine? Henry is now earning, let's say, $300 per month because of one client. But Henry had to create something called customized value. He went to pick the guy with his private car, right? He had to even make some stickers that were customized. Did you buy him grapes? He had to buy him snacks and grapes. He created a whole experience. While they were going up the mountain, Henry had to look for another guide to walk with the wife of this guy, and Henry had to walk with this other guy, and to ensure that the man was ahead because the man had an ego, and to ensure that he has a conversation with that guy for how many hours? 4 hours? 4 hours consistently. And then as they were coming down, Henry also had to ensure that to some degree they are totally aligned with the guy. You don't need many clients. You just need to understand the principle of customized value. Because when I read that scripture, 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 2, the prophet could only multiply what was already in the house of this widow. Joel, I cannot multiply what you don't have. Capedo photography is here. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you, Capedo. So happy to see you, my brother. Thank you. Let's follow my brother Capedo. He's a solid guy. Very solid guy. Can we go on? The principle of customized value. You don't need many clients. You just need to understand what you carry. But you see, it all falls back into the place of identity. I'm still analyzing questions. I'm just trying to show you how questions are so deep. And if you understand the art of asking questions, on Friday I'm doing a class on how to respond to questions, even in terms of business. That, Bethel, there is a way you can respond to questions that can make someone say, come for a meeting tomorrow. Last 2 weeks ago, I was given an opportunity in a conference to ask a question. For 5 minutes, Bethel, I asked the question. It gave me access to a meeting to meet the member of parliament within 3 days, because I asked a question. I've studied this thing called questions, and I've studied in the Bible where someone was asked, what can I do for you? It's in more than 7 places in the Bible. But before you answer a question, there are things you must have done to yourself. Even before you network, there are people you cannot network with. I remember one day I was telling people a story today. Henry and Waweru went for a wedding of a guy, I may not mention the name, a very rich guy. Where they went for the wedding, Bethel, first you needed to have a car. When Henry and Waweru went for that wedding, at around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., when the wedding was over, everyone entered their cars. They refused to give Henry a lift. Henry reached home at around 12 a.m., 1 a.m. The next day he slept. Because even that wedding where it was positioned, if you don't have a car, you cannot go there. You see, there are men you can never meet unless you grow to a certain height. There are heights that allow you to meet certain people. There's a way people have positioned themselves. It's not that they are busy. I have seen CEOs who tell people, I am busy, yet they go for a birthday of a child. So I understood the principle of growth. There are people who follow me on TikTok. Some of you even live right now. Top CEOs. Some of you in diaspora. It's not that you don't know me, you know me. But to some degree, there is a level of growth that permits us to actually meet. The other day I met Ndindi Nyoro, one of the senior leaders in this country. And this guy told me, I watch you every day on TikTok. And I noticed there are people who watch you, but you have to grow to a certain level for them to approach you. There are servants who knew David, but they never recommended him even for a day. He had to grow to a certain depth. There is a height. And let me tell you something, Joel. Sometimes you can have something that a nation has not yet matured to handle. You must also discern the wisdom of that your value can be ahead of time. That what David had, Henry, was so useless until Saul became mad. I'm saying this because there are some of you who are going to start businesses that are not normal. For example, in nursery school, did you ever know that hiking can be a business? But because the world is getting impatient, the world has anxiety, people will need to go for hikes. People will need a personal gym trainer. There are businesses that God gives you ahead of time. The sling was a useless toy until the time came that you can't get closer to a giant. You have to kill him from afar. I'm happy that I knew Capedo because he's here. Allow me to use him as an example. 5 years ago, when I was in first year in campus, Capedo is a normal photographer. But there is a time Capedo began to read books. That guy meditated. He watched 100 videos on YouTube. I remember him reading books. He even began to work out. The Capedo that people began celebrating 1 year ago, to some degree, they never celebrated him because of photography only. They celebrated him because of the poses, the drama. These are things he learned as a spoken artist. These are things that he was able to learn beyond being a photographer. Now, years ago, no one could have seen that as important. But who knew that people don't just want photos? People want to be shown how to pose. I'm still answering the question of how to ask questions and how to answer questions, and something called perceived value, customized value. Because when the prophet asked his lady the question, the lady said, I only have but a jar of oil and flour. That's what the prophet needed. And I've told you, people only increase what is in you. We cannot increase what does not exist. So if you've not worked on yourself to really refine your value to a level where kings can notice it, to some degree you'll struggle. Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1 to 3 is very clear. The Bible says, arise and shine, your light has come. But it says, Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings shall come to your brightness. Now there's a reason why Gentiles come to your light, but kings come to your brightness. Your light means your talent is at an ordinary level. It's just good. Even in public speaking, there is a level where you begin to attract a certain audience. I know, as Walubengo, the next 2 years, I know, in the next 2 years, a time is coming when my gift will now penetrate certain nations. So for now, I'm building capacity. I'm reading books. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm sharpening some of you, because some of you are going to be gateways, even to us penetrating those nations. Because in public speaking, there is a level where now kings begin to invite you. But there is something it takes more than just talking. Brightness means that your gift has gotten to a level where it's not just an ordinary gift, it comes as a package. That's why I tell people, you need to tap into all your gifts. Now, I want you to pay keen attention. What do I mean all your gifts? I have 5 minutes and then I'll be done. Henry, I want to use you as an analysis. Henry is a videographer. Henry can take people for hikes. Henry can drive cars in a very unique way. Henry, at the same time, has a fashion sense and a fashion taste. This means that what can give Henry access is driving, either being a chauffeur at the airport. What can give him access can be photography or videography, or taking someone at a hike. You need to have different things that can give you access, Bethel. Not knowing one of your gifts can be a disadvantage, because what gave David access to the palace was not one thing. The same thing also goes this way. Whatever was multiplied in the widow's house was not just a jar of oil, but also flour. It's dangerous to only have a jar of oil, but lack flour. But also it's dangerous to only have flour and lack a jar of oil. Who has seen the wisdom there? That Bethel, as Benny, for me to be effective, Joel, I need to be a good orator. I need to write books. I need to be a strategic thinker. I need diplomacy. Listen, there's a reason why you are funny. There's a reason why you are bold. There's a reason why you have a powerful sense of fashion. All these gifts are supposed to come as a package, including physical fitness. Psalm 78:72, the Bible says, and David shepherded Israel with his skill and his heart. That simply means that there is a place for skill, then there is a place for heart. And you're not supposed to ignore either. Because when this lady is answering the question from the prophet, she's not just answering from one perspective. She's telling the prophet, I have a jar of oil, but I also have a flour. That's what the prophet was able to multiply. How you answer the question, what can I do for you? You must understand, Is this person asking me, show me my value so that I can offer you? Or this person is asking me, what is your value? Or you must also understand, is this person asking, are you wasting my time? And then you have to distinguish what you need to work on before meeting greatness. I have